Let's get straight to the point. You're giving too much. Too much time, too much attention, too much energy to people who don't deserve it, to situations that give you nothing back, to environments that only know how to drain. And you know it. You've felt it. That emptiness at the end of the day that isn't physical, it's existential. Because giving yourself without limits doesn't make you a better person. It only makes you easy prey. You know what's the worst part? That they've convinced you that this is a virtue, that the more you give in, the nobler you are, that the more you wear yourself out, the more you're worth. And you bought it. With every yes you said when you wanted to scream no, with every help offered when you were the one who needed to be supported. You have sacrificed in the name of kindness, as if that would build respect. But Machiavelli was right. Respect does not come from giving. It comes from setting boundaries. And here's the first uncomfortable truth. People don't respect the one who gives without pause. They take advantage of them. Because in this game of appearances, the one who does not impose their presence is ignored. The one who doesn't mark their limits is invaded. Do you want to be loved? Be useful? Do you want to be respected? Be unreachable. Because in a world where everyone wants attention, selective silence is power. You're not here to serve as an emotional doormat. You're here to learn how to manage yourself as the valuable resource you are. Your time is not infinite. Your energy does not regenerate by itself. Your attention is a currency. And every time you give it away without thinking, you impoverish yourself. There are people who only show up when you smell availability. They're like emotional predators. They don't seek connection. They seek extraction. And if you don't see it, it's because you're still numb from that false idea that giving is always good. It's not. Giving without measure makes you invisible, because no one values what's always available. Do you want respect? Don't explain. Don't justify. Don't apologize for having limits. Stop giving sweet versions of yourself so they accept you. You're not here for the world to applaud you for being generous. You're here to build a presence that is felt even when you're silent. Machiavelli understood this centuries before you were born. Power isn't about being good, it's about being conscious. Respect is sown with firmness, not with concessions. It's cultivated with decisiveness, not with servitude. And most importantly, it's not asked for, it's imposed. From your posture, from your gaze, from the mystery generated by those who do not give themselves away. Look around you. Those who are respected are not begging for affection. They're not explaining their decisions. They're not handing out their energy in exchange for validation. They're present when they want to be, disappear when necessary, and never, ever beg for attention. Do you know what happens when you disappear a little? The world rearranges itself. People start wondering about you. They begin to value you more, simply because you're no longer within reach. Constant availability kills interest. Strategic silence awakens respect. And this goes beyond social matters. It's a question of identity. Every time you say yes to what you don't want, you're betraying yourself. And the worst betrayal isn't the one others do to you. It's the one you do to yourself out of fear of not being accepted. The one who doesn't respect themselves can't demand respect. Have you ever wondered how many times you've worn yourself out trying to be seen? How many times you've emotionally mutilated yourself to fit in? The irony is that the more you adapt, the more you lose yourself. And in the end, no one remembers the one who was always available. Everyone remembers the one who made themselves missed. Machiavelli didn't speak from cruelty, he spoke from reality. Love is fragile, fickle, conditional. Respect, if you build it well, is unbreakable. And to build it, you need to learn to disappear, to keep silent, not to explain yourself every time someone doesn't understand your distance. There is power in mystery. There is power in saying no. There is power in the boundary that not everyone can cross. Stop being afraid of losing people. If they leave because you no longer give them everything, they were never there for you. They were there for what they could take from you. And that, my friend, is not love. It's consumption. Ask yourself the question no one wants to ask. How much of what you give is because you really want to give it? And how much is out of fear of not being loved? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, it's because you've been acting from lack for years. And that lack is smelled. The one who gives from emptiness attracts those who know how to take advantage of it. I'll tell you something that will hurt. If you don't set limits, the world will not stop to ask if you're okay. It will keep taking your time, your ideas, your energy. And one day you'll wake up exhausted, frustrated, broken, and you won't even know how you got there. I'll tell you, you got there because you confused giving with value. Your value is not in how much you give. It's in how much you know how to hold back, in how much you know how to say, this far, and how much you control your energy like someone guarding a loaded weapon. You can't keep giving your presence as if it were worth nothing. The one who manages themselves imposes. The one who regulates themselves is respected. The one who disappears strategically is remembered. Look at those you admire most. Are they always available? Do they explain every decision? Number. They decide where to be, when to speak, who to look at. And that control is what makes them magnetic. They're not begging for love. They're ruling from the center of their power. If you want to gain respect, learn not to be there. Learn to be silent. Learn to look without needing to explain what you think. The one who masters their silence controls the narrative. The one who doesn't justify themselves imposes presence. And that, even if you don't say it, is felt. And here comes the hardest part. Stop expecting approval. No one worth your time will respect you for being the good one. They will respect you for being clear, for being firm, for not giving away your essence in exchange for crumbs of attention. And if someone distances themselves because of that, be thankful. They were someone who only knew how to approach when you were weak. Respect is not asked for. It's imposed, not with shouting, not with threats, with strategy, with emotional intelligence, with the coldness of someone who understands that their energy is limited and can't be wasted on every interaction. Every time you explain yourself, you lower yourself. Every time you justify yourself, you lose ground. The one with power doesn't argue, doesn't clarify, doesn't justify. They just act. And that action leaves a mark because it doesn't need to be announced. Real authority is not proclaimed. It radiates. From posture, from language, from the absence of need. Stop giving everything of yourself hoping to be seen. Start giving to yourself first. Value yourself before others. Because until you learn to prioritize yourself, you'll keep falling into the same pattern. Giving, being exhausted, and then being forgotten. Do you want to be unforgettable? Then don't always be there. Don't always say yes. Don't explain why you distance yourself. Just do it. Because those who explain themselves weaken. And you're not here to justify your existence. You're here to leave a footprint as silent as it is permanent. This is not a call to be cruel. It's a call to be strategic. It's not a cry for revenge. It's a declaration of autonomy. You have to stop being everyone's resource and become the treasure of a few. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves your time. Not everyone deserves to know what you're thinking. And most importantly, not everyone deserves to be close to you. Learn to close the door without saying a word. Learn to look without needing to explain. Learn to disappear when they no longer add to you. Because those who know how to leave without noise always have the option to come back with power. Your energy is sacred, your presence is valuable, your attention is limited, and those who don't understand that simply aren't on your level. You're no longer here to please. You're here to impact. And sometimes, the greatest impact is made by those who decide not to be there. Because true respect is not born from noise, but from the echo you leave when you leave. And now I want you to think about this. How many times have you been told that you have to be a good person? How many times have they repeated that if you're generous, everything comes back? Lies. That's one of the great fallacies sold to you since childhood, so you'd be functional, predictable, manipulable. Being a good person guarantees nothing, neither respect, nor success, nor peace. Because the problem is not being good, it's being good without strategy. And that, in this world, is practically a sentence to exploitation. People love the good ones, as long as they serve them. But as soon as the good one gets tired, as soon as they stand their ground, as soon as they say no, as soon as they demand the minimum, they become selfish, hard, cold. Have you noticed? Being good is only well received when it comes without conditions. And there's the poison. They taught you to give without asking, without calculating, without protecting yourself. They taught you to betray yourself in the name of a kindness that only benefits others. True emotional intelligence is not in yielding, it's in choosing. Choosing when to give, choosing to whom, choosing how much, and above all, choosing from where. Giving from overflow, not from scarcity. Giving when you have plenty, not when you're breaking. The mistake isn't helping. The mistake is forgetting yourself while helping. Because when you do that, the message you send to the world is clear. I don't matter. And believe me, people pick up on that, and they act accordingly. Let's go deeper. Humans have a radar to detect weakness. And I'm not talking about being aggressive or violent. I'm talking about that internal weakness that smells like insecurity, the need for approval, the urgency to belong. When people smell that in you, unconsciously they lower your value. No matter how good you are, if you're not selective, you'll be treated as disposable. And yes, that hurts. Because no one wants to believe the world works that way. But it does. We're not talking about justice, we're talking about reality. And the reality is this: those who don't know how to set limits are used. And worse yet, they end up believing that's what they deserve. You have to be able to cut ties without hatred, but with total firmness. You have to be able to leave a conversation without needing to give explanations. You have to learn to unsettle with your presence, not by shouting, but by the weight of your clarity. Clarity frightens. The one who knows what they want, what they're worth, and what they won't tolerate generates a tension many can't bear. And that tension is necessary. Most people living at the edge of their energy aren't tired because of what they do, but because of what they allow. Because of the silences they swallow, the commitments they accept, the favors they do unwillingly. Do you want to reclaim your power? Start by reviewing each of those yes you gave with your mouth, but denied with your soul. There's a point in life where you have to stop being accessible to everyone. Because if everyone can access you, no one values you. What's valuable isn't what's always there. What's valuable is what's scarce, what appears when it has to, not when it's called. And here comes another layer of this truth. Over-explaining is a way of asking permission to exist. Every time you justify yourself, you're saying, I don't want to upset you. Please accept me. That's a sophisticated form of submission. No one who respects themselves asks permission to be who they are. Those who respect themselves express, act, and let the consequences speak for themselves. Will they call you arrogant? Sure. Cold? Probably. Distant? Almost certainly. But they will also start treating you differently, with more care, with more consideration, because those who aren't afraid to unsettle, who don't need approval, become figures hard to ignore. Do you know what produces more attraction than any seduction strategy? The presence of someone who doesn't need to be approved, who doesn't fold, who doesn't adapt, who knows when to leave without looking back. That is the new form of power. Detachment as a declaration of freedom. We're not talking about being indifferent or insensitive. We're talking about a new personal ethic. One that says, I matter too. One that no longer sacrifices its rest for an empty commitment. One that no longer feels guilty for putting distance. One that has learned that being noble doesn't mean being stupid. Deep respect is born when you're able to be alone without trembling. When you don't seek company out of anxiety, but by choice. When silence doesn't bother you. When you no longer need to fill every space with your availability. That's when you start to build something different. Presence. Real presence isn't being everywhere. It's being so comfortable with yourself that your absence also says something. That when you leave, something is noticed. And that's not achieved through noise. It's achieved through boundaries. Think about this. Great leaders, those who truly leave a mark, are not the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who know when to speak. They're not the most exposed. They show up when it's time. Every word, every gesture, every movement is measured because they understand something many don't. Everything you do communicates, even what you keep silent. And for that reason, you must become a master at managing your silence, at turning your absences into statements, at making your energy so valuable that not just anyone can touch it. Do you realize? This isn't about being tough on the outside. It's about being clear on the inside. And that clarity makes others uncomfortable, because it shows others where your boundaries are. And boundaries, my friend, are what separate those who live to please from those who live to impact. So next time you feel that discomfort when setting boundaries, remember this. That discomfort is growth. That discomfort is a sign that you're finally stopping being moldable. Because in the end, being good isn't giving everything. Being good is giving with intention, with awareness, with direction. And that, in a world that feeds on others' exhaustion, is revolutionary. Respect is not begged for, it's projected, it's sustained, and above all, it's protected. And if to protect it you have to disappoint a few, so be it. The price of your emotional freedom is unsettling those who fed on your weakness. And if at the end of the day you're left only with your peace, then you did well. Because those who learn to be at peace with their solitude stop depending on others' validation. And in that moment, they begin to command. And if you've made it this far, then you already know. Something inside you is moving. Something that's been asleep for too long. A part of you that is starting to understand that it was never about being loved by everyone, but about being respected by yourself first. And here comes the most brutal part of this journey. Power is not shouted, it's built in silence. Respect is not demanded, it's cultivated in every decision, and the world, although it may not seem so, perceives it. Do you know what true luxury is nowadays? It's not money, nor travel, nor neon-lit parties. It's control over your attention. It's the power to say no without guilt. It's choosing not to respond, not to be there, not to justify yourself. It's sitting with yourself and not trembling inside. Because as long as you seek validation, someone will be using you as a resource. And that ends today. Stop begging for places where your presence isn't valued. Stop building bridges to people who only know how to burn paths. Start choosing from awareness, not from fear. From clarity, not from anxiety. True power doesn't need explanation. It's only felt. Like an invisible weight in the room. Like a silence that imposes more than 1,000 speeches. Like a gaze that doesn't need words to say it all. And I want you to carry this drilled into your mind. The respect you expect from others starts with the treatment you give yourself when no one is watching. In the discipline of leaving on time, in the courage not to respond when provoked, in the coldness of acting only when it's convenient. There, right there, is where your empire begins. Because your value isn't in how much you endure, but in how much you select. And that selection is a filter, the filter that separates those who come out of interest from those who come out of vision. Because when you raise your standards, opportunists leave on their own, and the real ones stay, even when you no longer give them everything. Look, you don't need to be understood by everyone. You need to be true to yourself. You need to move with intention. You need to become that kind of person who unsettles the mediocre just by existing. Not because you think you're better, but because you no longer accept less. And here's the real ending. You're going to have to leave versions of yourself behind. The version that said yes to avoid bothering. The one that waited to be chosen. The one that hid behind the smile. That version has to die, not with hate, with respect. Because it supported you until now. But it no longer serves you. The you that's coming is different. A you who knows your energy isn't infinite, that your time isn't for everyone, that your attention is a temple, and that your peace is non-negotiable, that you don't need to explain yourself, don't need to shout, just need to be firm, clear, present, invisible when you want, unforgettable when you appear. Now, if this has moved something inside you, and you know it has, subscribe to the channel. Because we're not here to sugarcoat reality, we're here to give you back your power. And if you made it this far, comment one single phrase in the comments. My silence is my boundary. I want to see how many are willing to stop giving themselves away. See you in the next video. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll disappear for a while. You know, those who have power don't need to always be there, only when necessary. Until then, stay cold, stay firm, stay unreachable. And remember, those who don't explain themselves impose. Signing off.